Good morning, everybody. I'll try to make this quick so we can all get back to not insulting the Prophet Muhammad. Well, except for this. What's the difference between Michael Jackson and Muhammad? One was a child-raping pedophile, and the other recorded Thriller. It's not really that funny, but it's true. The following calls are taken from editions of Mail Call printed in the Herald-Mail from August 31st to September 14th, 2012, which can be read online in their entirety at www.herald-mail.com. First up, from Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. Now that we're coming to the time of year for the political conventions, both Republican and Democratic, what is the purpose? We already know who the candidates are, Romney versus Obama. Why not save these millions of dollars, put them toward the national debt, or distribute them evenly to every household throughout the U.S.? What a waste of money. This is just another political waste of our money. Since most Americans don't like either candidates, vote Ron Paul. The conventions are big, expensive, public blowjobs our major political parties give to themselves. Wastes of time and money, I agree. But you lose me at the end there. Why should people who don't like Obama or Romney vote for Ron Paul? Most people don't like him either. That's why every time he's run for president, he has lost overwhelmingly. He's a political curiosity. He's not a serious candidate, never has been, never will be. I get that a lot of people are disillusioned with politics. I understand that there's a lot of apathy toward the two major candidates. But if Ron Paul were seen as a viable alternative to those candidates by more than just his tiny percentage of rabid supporters, he wouldn't be a loser! On a cool, wet day, approximately 150 persons gathered on Antietam Battlefield. It was August 19 and the dedication of the Mississippi State Monument. The chancellor of the university spoke, as did the great-grandson of Jefferson Davis. It was an inspiring event. Sadly, among the missing was the local press. No TV, no newspaper, and an awesome moment was bypassed. This was at nearby Antietam Battlefield, Sharpsburg. Maybe the media didn't bother because the Battle of Antietam was 150 years ago. What the fuck, Mississippi? You wait until 1995 to ratify the 13th Amendment. You erect a battlefield monument 150 years after the battle. Hey, can I just take a moment here to congratulate the women of Mississippi of the year 2070 on gaining the right to vote? Why do the out-of-state people have to come here to try their robberies in Maryland and West Virginia and Pennsylvania? Two guys in the paper from Florida and Georgia. Stay away. We don't need your robberies and murders here. And I agree with the person on the interstate and people coming off the off-ramps. The police need to get them more often. Hancock. Take that as a compliment. I do. You know, from Florida or Georgia, it's like a 12-hour drive to get up here. They come all that way to steal our stuff, to kill us. It's kind of flattering if you think about it. My question for Mail Call is, where is the Hagerstown Republican headquarters, or where will it be? I'm a subscriber of the Herald-Mail. Hagerstown. I Googled it a few minutes ago, so I know where the Republican headquarters is in Hagerstown, but I'm not going to tell you. You go find out for yourself. You'll feel good about that. And if you don't know how to use the Google, don't worry. Just take a stroll through downtown Hagerstown and ask a Republican when you see one. They're easy to spot, the polo shirts tucked into the khaki pants with the stripy, stretchy belt. I have an idea for the atheist who doesn't like to hear prayers. If you're going somewhere where you know there's going to be prayers before the meeting or the gathering, whatever it is, don't go in until the prayer is over. Then you don't have to listen to it. And I feel very sorry for these people because they don't believe in God. Falling Waters, West Virginia. If the prayers are taking place before a government meeting, then the problem probably isn't that the atheist in question just doesn't like to hear prayers, but that there shouldn't be any prayers to begin with, because our government is, and ought to be, a secular government. Now, I can only speak for myself, but I've never really had a problem listening to prayers. I mean, yeah, I think prayer is a total waste of time, and public prayer is incredibly obnoxious, but it can be kind of interesting if viewed in the proper context, say from an anthropological standpoint. I used to work at a truck stop, and one day a van full of Muslims pulled into our parking lot. And I watched from a distance as they all got out of their van and went around the corner behind the building where they wouldn't bother anybody, and they put their mats down and knelt on the grass and began to pray. And it was just after sundown. It was cool and calm, and in that moment it was kind of beautiful. Now, in a different context, say before a town council meeting, seeing everybody get down on their knees and grovel before the invisible feet of Allah wouldn't be beautiful at all. I'd have a big problem with that, and so would most other people, including Falling Waters here, I bet. I was on my computer the other day, and my wife was watching the soap opera Days of Our Lives. That night I was channel surfing on the TV, and I watched a little bit of the Democratic convention. You know, it was hard to tell the difference between the two. I know one thing: if the current president is re-elected, it won't be like a soap opera, it will be more like a horror movie. Halfway area. At first I thought the comparison between a soap opera and the Democratic convention was lazy and ridiculous, but then I remembered that Wednesday was the day of the convention when it was revealed that Michelle had actually been married to Barack's twin brother all these years. And earlier that same day, on Days, Beau had given an impassioned 20-minute speech advocating increased federal student loan assistance. So the confusion is actually kind of understandable. Man. I will never forget that moment when Elizabeth Warren was about to marry that crooked district attorney, and then Bill Clinton came riding in on his motorcycle and scooped her up and rode away with her. What a great idea the correspondent from Roarsville had about executing all prisoners who have more than 100 years to serve. Would it not be more simple just to execute prisoners until the budget is balanced? We could save money, and perhaps we'd not lead the world in the most incarcerated prisoners. I think we could also come up with some other new ideas. Halfway. Oh, I can't tell. Is this one sarcastic or sincere? Let's solve the problem of exploding prison populations by killing the prisoners. Is he employing irony to point out what a monstrous suggestion that is? Or is he saying, yes, I seriously think it's a good idea to balance the budget through mass execution. I fully endorse this idea. You know, I've been reading mail call and making these videos for years, and it could go either way. Why can't we citizens of Washington County be heard on this proposal to the ballpark in the Senior Citizen Center out at the college? Why can't we have a vote in some of this? And let us, as senior citizens especially, be heard on these two things. I think it's very important. It just seems like they don't want to listen to anything that anybody else says. Hagerstown. You can't have a vote on it because this isn't a direct democracy. If you don't like where they're planning to build the ballpark, or the senior center, or whatever else, make your voice heard by using your voice. Call the office of the mayor and the city council and the county commissioners and your state and local representatives. Write letters to the editor, and if those elected officials still don't do what you think they should do, vote for somebody else next time. That's the way it works. We have a representative democracy. We don't get to decide, we get to decide who gets to decide. It's actually a pretty good system. It's going to take some getting used to, seeing as how it's only been our form of government for fucking forever. And finally, from Greencastle, Pennsylvania, it's well known that the statements and ads for the presidential contenders Romney and Obama are exaggerated and distorted. What kind of message does this send to your people? The president and presidential hopeful are both liars. What a country we have become to accept this as just politics. I know, right? Political campaigns stretching the truth, mischaracterizing their opponents, pandering to the lowest common denominator, showing no sense of class or decorum, knowing no depths to which they won't sink. Terrible. Why can't we go back to a time before this kind of dirty politics was just an accepted part of our culture? Why can't we go back to being the country that you remember from when you were young? Right, Greencastle? So you're like 250, right? Thanks for watching.